Hello and good evening and welcome to another episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Today is Monday, the 28th of October. I was tempted to say it's Friday because I'm normally on a Friday, but it's Monday the 28th of October and I'm joined by Francis. Frannie, you ever been called Franco?
Aye, but not a lot. But no. I'll answer to a lot of things, Gavin, to be fair.
See, after Trainspotting came out, did you ever want to be called Franco? Was that like a nickname that you thought might be cool? That might suit your persona?
I think age would have been... I mean, maybe because it was kind of the trendy film at the time and cool, or maybe... I maybe tried it, but I would be lying if I would say that I definitely tried it. But I maybe tried it because obviously Francis Begbie was a bit of a hard man, eh?
Oh, he was a tough looking guy.
I was never a hard man back then, and I'm not a hard man now. So if I did try, it wouldn't have lasted long.
Aye. Well, know thyself. Don't try to be anybody else that you're not. Just be yourself. So anyway, really good to see you, Frannie. I think it's the first podcast that just me and yourself have done. However, to the viewers, I hope everybody is doing well. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you are having a good Monday. We're going to just talk about what happened at the weekend with Celtic and another brilliant win. And a couple of things actually before we talk about Celtic. So today is the Ballon d'Or event. Now, I actually heard a rumour that the Real Madrid, it was, as we all do, we're all guilty of it. We listen to TalkSport. And TalkSport had actually said that the entire Real Madrid squad had purposely not flown out to the event because they were told, they were given the heads up that none of them would have been selected for the Ballon d'Or. So I think one of the bookies' favourites was Vinny Jr. Some people are talking Bellingham. But I guess the other person, if it's not going to be Vinny Jr., it's not going to be Bellingham, then surely it's going to be Rodri. So I'm just going to click on it right now to see. I don't think it's...
I don't know.
Rodri and Vinny Jr. are among the favourites. It's not yet been awarded yet, but Vinny Jr. has not travelled to Paris, so it looks like Rodri is going to be the one. I heard somebody actually phone up on TalkSport to say, when I watch football, I don't buy a ticket to watch a defensive midfielder. I want to watch the flair players, the attacking players. And if you think back to it, like the last defensive player / midfielder, defensive midfielder, if you want to say, non-attacking player. The last one would have been Cannavaro, I think, which would have been well over a decade, because Ronaldo...
the World Cup time, wasn't
it? So, Frannie, the Ballon d'Or, it's about the best player. Like, if you don't like a defender winning it, then split the awards up and pay homage to the best defensive player and the best attacking player. But if it's the best player at all, then, it shouldn't always be the entertainers. It should be the best pound-for-pound player in their position. And it's either Rodri or maybe it is either Vinny Jr. Who would you go for? And what do you think?
Well, I would chuck Carvajal in there as well, mate, because I think he's like the Real Madrid captain, and they've obviously won the league, Champions League, and then he's won the Euros as well with Spain. So, I mean, I think between the three of them, I think you could argue a good case for the freedom. I do agree. It generally always goes to the attacking player, but Rodri's had a fantastic year. Carvajal's had a fantastic year. So has Vinny Jr. I think he's actually scored in every final that he's played in the last sort of a calendar year, which is not to be sniffed at, and he's arguably the best in his position. Aye, I was never him. Maybe in height only. But certainly in his position, Vinny Jr.'s he's head and shoulders above everybody in that position, has been for a good 18 months anyway.
Yeah,
I'm with you. It should be the best player, because I think, obviously, I mean, this is going to sound silly because they are arguably the best two players. Certainly in my generation, the best two players, Ronaldo and Messi. But there was times guys had better seasons, like Lewandowski. I think Lewandowski missed out to Benzema, but Lewandowski scored tons more goals and had a much better season and should have won it. And I think there's been cases where there was guys probably deserved it over Messi and Ronaldo, but it was obviously the popular vote was to go for one of the two.
I think politics plays a big part in it.
Yes.
And I think there is an overemphasis on attacking players, and I think there were times when Messi and Ronaldo won it when it could have been given to another person.
I think Modric for a couple seasons before he got it probably had
I agree.
Before he actually won it.
And I was talking about one of my favourite ever midfielders was Iniesta, and if it was in any other decade, Iniesta would have won a Ballon d'Or. But whenever you're playing with a phenomenon like, pardon using that word, because phenomenon should be used exclusively for the Brazilian Ronaldo. That's his nickname. But Messi is once. Would you even call him a once in a generation? Once in a century sort of player, But if it wasn't for Messi, if it wasn't for Ronaldo, then a lot of very, very talented players would have got the award, like Iniesta. But anyway, tonight it seems like it's either Rodri or Vinny Jr. Vinny Jr. hasn't travelled, so it looks like Rodri is going to get it. And fair play to him, just for the point of a defensive midfielder, and he is the best at what he does. Spain won the Euro Championships. Thank goodness for that, beating England. And he won the league. He won the league last year with Man City. He's a brilliant player, whether you like him or not. Brilliant player. So that's that. Moving on to other news. We will get to Celtic. And by the way, to everybody in the comments, I hope you're doing brilliantly. We love you. We love you guys. Ten Hag got the sack from Man U. Is it a long overdue thing? How the hell did he stay in a job for so long?
I honestly don't know, Gavin. Like, I don't think he's a bad manager. He probably wasn't the guy for Man United, but they've done it recently. I say recently, but the last few appointments have been a bit probably not the calibre that Man United should be going for. They maybe should be going a wee bit bigger, and I know they've kind of fell off a cliff a bit in the last sort of maybe 10 years. They have fell off a bit of a cliff in terms of competing at that level, but they're still Man United. I mean, you listen to Talksport a lot, as in the podcast listen to Talksport, they, regardless of what Man U are doing, they take up a lot of your time. They are, between them and Real Madrid, it's a toss of a coin who's the biggest club in world football. So they still have that sort of a pool, and I believe they can still sign certain levels of player and bring certain levels of managers in. But it probably has been long overdue, but they've been a bit like, well, you got a new deal in the summer. I think they actively came out in the summer and said they were looking to get rid, well, they were exploring options. And then the next thing you know, he's got a new deal, and it's like, well, he can't be, if you're exploring options, he can't be the outstanding candidate to then go, well, we'll give him another deal, because I think he maybe had a couple of seasons left on his deal. So you didn't go, you're obviously admitting that you think you could do better, but then you reward by not, you obviously went and looked at targets and probably couldn't get them in. And then so you give him a new deal. It made no sense. And then I think one of the early bookie favourites is Xavi, who he gives me Frank Lampard vibes at Barcelona. I think he just, obviously we know about their money troubles a couple of seasons ago, and I think maybe still a wee bit now. I think Xavi only got that job because it was Xavi and they couldn't really afford to get a big name in. For me, Man United should be going for the big names. That was one of my arguments of why keeping Ten Hag in recent weeks is because who out there is really achievable for Man United. They're never going to get Klopp, who obviously recently went into a new role with, can't remember who it is, but he's went into a new sort of football role. But what manager out there can Man United get?
Klopp has got, the only clause in his contract Klopp has got is to join the German football federation to be the manager of Germany. To answer, I think it was Alistair Jack's question, who was the last goalkeeper or the only goalkeeper to win the Ballon d'Or? That would be Lev Yashin. So 1963.
I never got that.
1963, Lev Yashin. I knew it was either him or Dino Zoff, but I looked into it. It was Lev Yashin. Right. Won it in 1963. And I think that was kind of roughly about the period where like Real Madrid and Inter Milan had that kind of monopoly on the European politics. Politics were top heavy back then, even as it is now. But Lev Yashin was the man. He was born in Moscow. So anyway, you think I was going to go into a biography about Lev Yashin, but no. I was thinking Unai Emery for the Man U job. However, he's flying right now, Aston Villa, and I think that he has to see out this season right now. They're top of the group in the Champions League right now. 3 wins out of 3.
And beat Bayern Munich in the process, and deservedly beat Bayern Munich that night.
I know, and they beat Young Boys of Bern away from home on an AstroTurf pitch, which is something that I think did we play Young Boys away from home?
No, at Parkhead, mate.
Oh, thank fuck for that. I don't want to play an AstroTurf, man. Hopefully we'd never have to play an AstroTurf again unless we have to go to a Russian club, and who knows whenever the Russian clubs are going to get let back in. But anyway, apart from the Ballon d'Or, apart from Man U, the only other current affairs right now, Frannie, is you turning 40. Now it's the big later on this week. I think it's a Thursday. So you told me it is the 31st of October. That's your
Halloween
birthday,
baby. Halloween baby, yes, mate.
Mate, brilliant. I was looking at famous people who were born on the 31st of October. So apart from Frannie, you know, one of the members of the potential of the award-winning podcast for this year, you've got Johnny Marr, who I think was the guitarist of the Smiths.
Aye.
Don't suppose you were into the Smiths. You get Peter Jackson.
Nah, I've got good songs, but they're a bit miserable, mate. They're a bit miserable.
Apart from what's that tune? I Am Human and I Need to. How Soon Is Now? How soon? That's the only tune I can go by the Smiths. You've got Peter Jackson, the director of Lord of the Rings. You've got Christopher Columbus, who was heralded back in the day, but apparently he's a bit of a prick these days. You know, if you talk about the woke culture, you know, people don't like him nowadays. You've got John Candy. Remember John Candy? He was in Uncle Buck. He was the big guy. He was also in Home Alone Part 1.
Oh, was he Halloween? There you go.
Aye. Died young. Tragically too young. Marcus Rashford, talking about Man U.
Talking about woke as well.
I know. We'll get Vanilla Ice.
Off Derek, by the way, he changed the game a wee bit. I'll take that one.
Yeah, and another man who changed the game, quite an unfortunate one, Jimmy Savile.
No,
I don't know why.
Oh, that's just quite. See when the folk in the group chat hear that. That's Gav.
Anyway, Frannie. Okay, so you're coming up for the big 4-0. I wanted to ask you. We will go to Celtic. I promise you. I'm sorry to the viewers in the comments. Frannie does look for it. Is that a 2-3 on the front of your jersey? Is it
it's a Jordan. It's a Nike Jordan top.
Right. Okay. And 40-year-old grown men shouldn't wear best. Come on, Woodsy.
It's because my hair's terrible.
Come on, Woodsy. Come on. Anyway, what was your favourite decade? I'm going to guess you're going to go for the 90s, but I don't want to put decades in your mouth.
I would probably say the noughties, like 2000 onwards, and because that was obviously the noughties for me was obviously similar to yourself growing up watching Rangers win a lot of trophies. So obviously, well, we had obviously Van Jamson's winning title, but then when Kenny and Martin O'Neill, it's a bit obvious when Martin O'Neill came in, started enjoying football a lot more, shall we say then. But probably then, and I was of an age where I would be going to gigs and out drinking essentially. So
well, that would bring me on to my next question. So your favourite decade was the noughties. So what was your favourite artist in the noughties?
Probably Kasabian back then. Oasis and Kasabian, but probably, well, no, it would have probably been Oasis. But I mean, I liked a bit of gangster rap as well, Gav. It makes surprise if you folk that was into a lot of gangster rap.
You don't need to be conscious of like Anthony and Ross.
No, I did like Oasis. Like Oasis was the first concert I went to.
You don't need to play to the gallery. Talk about
I was a gangster rap. I was a gangster rap.
Marshall Mathers LP, aye?
Yes, one of the best. Yes. And obviously like Jay-Z. I was never like an East Coast, West Coast picked a side. That I wasn't that bad, but I liked a bit of gangster rap.
It's difficult to pick a side when you're based in Scotland, aye.
I know.
What was your favourite movie in the noughties? You're not a movies guy, are you? You're not.
I'm not. So that's a terrible question to ask me, Gav, because I would.
Who was your favourite global football hero in that decade?
I mean, I liked obviously that the Brazilian Ronaldo we were talking about. I know he kind of was the early 90s, isn't it? But him then. Probably him. Probably have to go him.
Ronaldo.
Outside Larson, obviously.
El Phenomenal. Okay, so we'll get the Marshall Mathers LP. phenomenal. That's a pretty good decade anyway. Right, so we are going to talk about the Celtic and Motherwell game. So
before we do, Gav, is that a replica or original top?
Well,
seamless.
See before I started buying the original football tops, I bought this for the Celtic. I bought one of them from the Celtic Superstore because I was so glad that they brought it back. But then I got the bug eventually to start collecting the originals. Now, my dad had an old one, so I've got my dad's one on the clothesline behind me.
There.
It's a size up. So although I was so happy to own it, it didn't fit me. And then I saw one on eBay that fit me, this one, and it arrived today. So
even better.
So I've got 3 of them now. I've got a fake, I've got an original, and a big original. But it's my favourite Celtic. I think it is my favourite away Celtic top. And it was like a dire time for Celtic domestically. You know, we were not that good. But
incidentally, that's the year we had that top. That was the year Stephen was born.
1998. Well, I think it was between 92 and 93 and 94.
It was a couple. You would take a couple seasons yet back then with the tops. I think it was like a home top, then away top, and a home top, and away top. So it was like alternate years.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we could go back to that because it was cool. You know, like you could get one Celtic top for your birthday, you know, and then like the following year you could get a new top, and you're not missing out. But now you've got fucking four tops in the one summer.
Well, I've got that one that they never got to wear. I went and bought that one. Well, I say I bought it. I got that for my birthday. It's the one. It's like the replica hanger sort of, or the retro one.
It is a beautiful, beautiful top. I love it. Well, P. McLaughlin here. Zidane was the man in the 19.
Oh, bro, I don't know. I used to hate him, but I used to hate him because, like, obviously watching, like, I think I say I hate, like, Zidane's arguably one of the best midfielders ever, if not the best. What he could do was ridiculous. But I think it was just obviously watching Italian football. I liked watching AC Milan winning, and he was. It was good when it was that price as well. When you watched Italian football and Zidane at Juve just used to. He was brilliant. Then obviously AC Milan were still competing and winning things, but Zidane was a bit of a game changer for Juventus at the time.
Zidane kind of killed me because I was a massive Brazil fan, and I loved 1998 World Cup. And then coming up for 1998, Brazil were winning other games, and I remember it. And I was watching. I think it was like a Sunday evening, and France beat Brazil 3-0, and I was shell shocked. I really, I was. See the opening game when Brazil played Scotland. I was decked out in my Brazil kit. I was all in for Brazil, cheering on Tom Boyd scoring that own goal. But in the final, Zidane get two headers of all things. Zidane is not known for scoring headers, and then Emmanuel Petit put in on goal, slots it past Taffarel to make it 3-0. I was shell shocked, and then the drama of Ronaldo being taking a fit beforehand. It was tough. That for me, that was as tough as the Coca-Cola Cup defeat against Wraith Rovers back in
that one because I wanted Brazil to win that one. Didn't take that good win.
Oh, it was tough. But I've grown to like Zidane after all these years. It's taken me a while. But anyway.
And answer P. McLaughlin's question about the World Cup in 2006. I was buzzing when Italy won that, I'll be honest. I like Italy too. I feel like I'm a bit support tons of teams there, a bit of glory hunter.
I was actually in Italy. I was on holiday for that. A memorable final. Anyway, shall we go on to the weekend's affairs? So Motherwell played Celtic. Now, if we remember to the last time that we played at Motherwell, it was a difficult game, and Adam Ida was instrumental in coming on and scoring the winner, and then Palma, I think, scored another goal right at the end. But that game was full of a lot of drama. So there was a wee bit of tension, maybe a wee bit of tension going into this game. We knew that Aberdeen have been doing well so far, but this was a game to come back after Europe, and we had to ring the changes. So the lineup, Schmeichel in goals, of course. We had Valle, Scales, Trusty, and AJ. Now, in the midfield, I think that was one of the ones where we had to make some changes because Kalmack had an abductor muscle injury. So McCowan, Bernardo, and Hatate played. And then up front, you've got Maida, Kyogo, and Forrest. Now, that was a lineup. I thought that Bernardo and McCowan, in the build-up, I thought I would have played them anyway. And that was without me knowing about Kalmack's injury. However, it was Bernardo who actually played the number 6 role in that. So I wanted to ask you your thoughts about the lineup, but primarily about Bernardo as the number 6. If I told you about that beforehand, would you have expected him to play that role, that kind of the anchor role? And do you think that's where his strengths lie? What are his strengths? And do we lack maybe a defensive midfielder in the absence of Callum McGregor?
I'll be honest, I think we lack a defensive midfielder, including when Callum McGregor's available, Gavin. Obviously, I think domestically, 9 times out of 10 we'll get away with it. It's when we come up in Europe, that's when generally we maybe become a wee bit unstuck with it. But it never necessarily surprised me out day 3 that he played that more defensive role, because as you say, Hatate's a bit more a playmaker. Look, McCowan's a wee bit more that. I don't know what an abductor must is either, but it does.
A fucking good comment, man. That
is a good comment. And so what we've seen for Bernardo, he has got sort of the energy, he breaks up. I mean, you just go back to the Derby match earlier on the season, how many times he broke up the play. So it made sense for me how to have Bernardo in that, playing that role and stuff. Personally, I mean, I said it in the group chat, I think I would need to look back in the group chat, but I don't think James was too far away with the team that he predicted or would pick for the team that started. And as much I said I wasn't against it, but I would have probably went a wee bit more stronger than what we did yesterday and used the Dundee fixture because it's at home. Dundee haven't got as off to a good start as Motherwell have, and obviously, like you touched on there, Gav, although it has been, the Motherwell fixture has in the main been a happy hunting ground, it's not been the easiest in recent years to pick up the points. So personally, I would have went stronger, but obviously, as we found out, we got the win. But Bernardo, for me, it made sense just with the way he wins the ball back. It made sense for him to play there. But I think in the main, Gav, we are missing that type of, like your Victor Wanyama's or your, obviously you're not going to get a Roger level player, but you're missing a Roger in there.
Fran, see, when we've seen Bernardo last year, okay? We've brought him back, obviously. Can I ask you what you think his specific strengths are? Now, when I think of a number 6, I'm not trying to kind of put you off and justifying why you think he should be a number 6. But for me, a number 6 is somebody who is able to have very, very close control. I would have thought it would have been Hatate. Neil Lennon said he thought he would have played Hatate in that role. Right. But I thought if I wasn't going to play Hatate, I'm thinking, would I play Luke McCowan? Although I think Luke McCowan, is that his name? Luke? Is that his first name? Aye. Maybe Hatate, but if not, then I would have played McCowan, although I think McCowan is far better going forward. But I think both of them have very, very good close control and they're able to open their body up. I think Bernardo is better kind of like striding forward almost. I think he's a very physical player. I'm not just talking about his height, because that's an easy accusation to make, but I think he's just really good at making strides up the park. But I don't know about taking the ball in, turning and pivoting and kind of like shimmying that way. I didn't think that would be his attributes. What do you think Bernardo's best attributes are? I'm not asking you to agree with me or contradict me if you feel that way.
No, I do think he is, like, driving with the ball. He's winning the ball back. I think he's brilliant at absolutely winning the ball back. So that's where I was going with the number 6. But I totally agree with you. Taking the ball in the half turn, Hatate is one of the best at it we've got in the team. Look, McCowan's very good at it. Both of them are very good passers. But my issue with Hatate is, now, it's not a criticism of Hatate. He likes playing the difficult pass sometimes, and that's the pass that will sometimes break the lines, but it does lose it sometimes. A lot of time it doesn't come off, And if he's doing that for a more deeper position, we may be under pressure a wee bit more, where I don't think Bernardo will really be playing it. He's always got a good range of passing on him. He's got a good strike on him as well. But I think Bernardo's more likely to play the safer pass. So, yeah, we might not break the lines as much through Bernardo in that 6, but I don't think we'll get caught up the park, if you like, if he tries to play a difficult pass and we lose it and there's guys ahead of the ball and stuff. So, for me, that's why I would play Bernardo in there. But I totally take on board what you're saying with Hatate, in that they do take it better than half time. But for me, his attributes are just he has got that power to run and drive out. He showed it against Atalanta. He's composed as well on the ball, I think. But I do agree that he doesn't take it on the turn as well. For me, as somebody that can take it on the turn and play in there, almost plays as not necessarily a sweeper, but a third centre back, where your right and left back go up the park and he just drops in and can take it. I mean, Busquets, I watched a Barcelona thing a year or two back, and it was talking about like that team that they had, where it was like your Iniestas in that the world, where they were just dominated football for a good 4 or 5 seasons. And Busquets, I think he accredited Iniesta as the best player he's ever played with, because he knew with Iniesta's pass what he had to do with the ball. So if Iniesta rattled the ball into him, he knew he had a guy on him and he had to play it first time. But if Iniesta played it a wee bit of softer pass, he knew he had time to turn. If he played it to his left, he knew he could turn to his left. If he played it to his right, he knew he could turn to his right. And it's just madness that's obviously a top level player, and it's just how they're actually thinking, and he doesn't need to necessarily be aware of what's around him. He knew by Iniesta's pass what he had to do with the ball next. So obviously, again, you'd be doing well to get that level of sort of a defensive midfielder, but that's what you want for your defensive midfielder. Just like Neil Lennon, essentially doesn't probably never ever win you a match, or doesn't do anything that you think will win you a match, but by God, they break up the play and they'll do a lot that will stop you from losing the game.
Yeah. See, going totally off topic, I remember listening to an interview by a British player who went abroad, and he was playing with, I think it was Pirlo, and Pirlo pulled the guy up and says, "Don't shout for the ball." So this guy, I don't even know if it was a British player. It might have been that you know, that the two German brothers. One played for Ghana, one played for
the Boateng boys.
I think it might have been him. I think
Had it been Kevin Prince Boateng, because he went to AC Milan.
Yeah, I don't know if might have been him. I think it might have been him talking about playing with Pirlo, and he was like shouting for the ball, saying, I'm here, I'm in space. And like he wasn't getting the ball, and Pirlo came up to him and said, "Don't shout for the ball. Whenever you shout for the ball, you're broadcasting, you know, where you are and the direct play." And he said, "Don't do that." And he said that the players around him, his teammates, were making like noises like crickets, like little insects, and he could hear it all around them. And like total madness to us, but it was like them announcing their presence to say, "I want the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, here I am." But they're not shouting for it and broadcasting, telegraphing, you know. I don't know, just a different culture.
That's just level.
It was something that I heard and it stuck with me from an interview. But anyway, I want to go into the game, Frannie. So we're half an hour in, we're not even spoken about the game. But anyway, so spoken about the lineup, and I guess let's go into the first half. So the first half, okay. So Lennon Miller, Motherwell had a very, very strong start to the first half. Lennon Miller hits the post. So Kasper Schmeichel, we were playing out from the back, and I think we're being pressed at this point. So Bernardo was like running in the number 6 position, running towards Kasper. Kasper fired in a very, very fast pass to Bernardo. Bernardo, he just couldn't get his feet in the right way. I think I think if you're used to that position, then you hit it first time. You have to hit it first time. It's kind of like what you're talking about whenever Iniesta hits a fast pass to Busquets, and he knows that's the signal where you need to hit this first pass. You get it wrong. You get it wrong, you lose possession. You get it right, then we can, live to fight another day. Bernardo could not get his feet position correctly, and he kind of messed it up. And Motherwell took possession of the ball, ended up getting laid back to Lennon Miller, who everybody was thinking about him as a danger man going into this game. And Lennon Miller, he put his laces through it, and he strikes it off the post. It was a brilliant, brilliant strike, but fortunately for us, hits the post. And you're thinking, Christ, this could be a long day. This could be a long day. Now, soon after that, Motherwell win a free kick just outside our box. And, of course, Lennon Miller takes it again, and he strikes it off the bar this time. Could have been going top corner. Kasper Schmeichel didn't really get close to it at all. Now, this was within the first half hour, and I'm just thinking, at that point, I'm thinking, sign this guy up, because I don't want to worry about this guy for the rest of the season. Bring him on our books. We can loan him back to Motherwell. I don't care. I just don't want to worry about this guy. And I want to talk to you later on about captains, Scottish captains in particular, and him as potentially a candidate for signing up for Scotland to kind of continue that culture of what we've seen as Celtic fans over decades. But anyway, that was a big scare. But I felt that afterwards we kind of managed to take holds after the first half hour. Did you see those particular moments from Lennon Miller? What did you think of his capability with striking from outside the box, hitting free kicks and stuff like that? I don't want to compare it with Turnbull. I think he's far more mobile than Turnbull. Andy Halliday, if you listen to him in Open Goal, he waxes lyrically about Lennon Miller. What's your thoughts on Lennon Miller? I thought he faded in the rest of the game, and that was one of the comments that I have thought of. Alistair Jack actually spoke about it. Lennon Miller, he said this 10 minutes ago. Lennon Miller, overrated, don't shout at me. I felt he faded in the game, but in the opening half hour, he looked very, very dangerous. Now, he's a young man. They're going to be inconsistent. But at that moment in time, he could have really, really made that an uphill task for us. So, your thoughts on Lennon Miller?
I think I wouldn't say he's a top player yet. He's only 18-year-old, I think, and just turned 18 or maybe just turned 19. I think he's got all the ability to be a very good young player, and I think Celtic should always be interested in the best players within the domestic league anyway. And obviously, I know folk will maybe not like it, but it ticks some European boxes in the sense that he's homegrown. He might even count as there's obviously a Scottish-based player, and he'll come as a homegrown one. So, in that way, ticks boxes when it comes to European games. So, I even said in the summer I would go in for him, but I would have loaned him back to Motherwell, like you touched on. I would still be of that sort of mindset if we went and tried to get him in January, just loan him back to Motherwell, even for 18 months, Gavin, just because I think Luke McCowan, as much as I'm not saying I was against the Luke McCowan signing, but it was one probably ignorant, because I never really, Lennon Miller was probably more the fancy player, if you like. He would cost more money, so it's one of the ones you kind of sort of well, certainly myself was probably getting more excited over potentially signing Lennon Miller than Luke McCowan, simply more based on more money. And to be honest, I'd probably paid more attention to Lennon Miller. But obviously, you look at Bernardo and what Luke McCowan's done. As good as I think Lennon Miller is, I think he struggles to get to that midfield now. But it's not saying I don't want us to sign him. I think we should, because, as I say, we don't want to. Did I go back to the John McGinn? I'm not saying he's got to turn out to be a John McGinn, but he's just didn't want to. I don't think we should be losing out to these sort of young talents anyway. But I would certainly look to sign him up in January, and I would be more than happy for him to stay with Motherwell for another 18 months just to develop.
Right. Well, we'll talk about Scottish talent. Okay, so we're talking about John McGinn. Is this the John McGinn at St Mirren moment? Well, you know that there's a talent in the SPL, but we think, well, he's not going to walk into our team right now, so we'll let him do what he wants and we'll monitor it. Now, we've got smelled the glove here to say that look, he's going to be a much better player after he leaves Motherwell. He'll probably go to Italy, and we've seen that kind of that migration to Italy over the past 4 odd years, with a fair amount of Scottish talent going there. You even saw that boy Ferguson getting the midfielder of the year in Serie A. I agree with you. That if we bought Lennon Miller right now, and if he came over to Lennoxtown and says, "This is your team right now. This is where you're going to be playing," he's not going to walk into that team. In fact, I'd probably put Luke McCowan over him as well.
Yes,
I would. I'm a big fan of Luke McCowan, but Luke McCowan is 26, going on 27, and he's a seasoned professional. He knows exactly what it takes to play in the SPFL. Lennon Miller is still learning his trade, and he's at the best place right now in Motherwell. But I am afraid, as you are, of losing the next best talent in Scottish football. And I guess it goes on to my point. We're talking about future captains of Celtic. Let go back to Paul McStay, Jackie McNamara, Paul Lambert, even Scott Brown, who was captain for a number of years, and then he handed the baton over to Callum McGregor. You bring in Scottish talent at the right time and who are comfortable playing it with Celtic, and they end up loving the life, accepting the Goldfish Bowl and adapting. And they are so key in educating the new players about the culture of Celtic. What's the expectations? And these are the type of players who are probably good enough to go down to go down to England, but they don't, because they're making a life for themselves at Celtic Park. They have chosen to stay here, just like Paul McStay did, just like Scott Brown did, just like Cam McGregor did. Rebirth, Leicester, Newcastle, Juventus. That was the type of clubs coming in for our club captains. They stayed here, and they were so key in the endurance success and educating the players around them and setting expectations. Now, where is the next captain for Celtic? Where is the next captain? Like, you could talk about like the kind of the 25 plus age gap right now, like Luke McCowan. You could talk about Greg Taylor and stuff like that. But we're talking about youngsters. Who's the next one? We're not bringing through anybody for Lennoxtown right now. I'm talking about young Scottish talent who can come in. Admittedly, loan them back to Motherwell. I don't care. I just want them on our books. But I want to keep that succession of Scottish talent. But don't get me wrong, he might come to Celtic and he might be far too good. He might blow up and then might go down to England.
Yes,
you can't help that. You can't help what destiny's got in store.
But I suppose that's a good thing as well, though, because then he's obviously had a good couple of seasons at us. So,
but you need a succession plan, and I think it's our responsibility. If the Huns go for him, I will not shut up on this podcast about missed opportunities. This is a succession plan we're talking about. That's what I'm driving at here right now. He's the best talent in Scotland right now, and I think for one reason or another, we need to get him on our books. Am I?
No, I'm 100% with you, mate. I'd be going all out to get him. I was saying it in the summer. I'm not changing my opinion now. I'm not getting too excited. Just that game, it just seems to turn up. Obviously, I don't watch Motherwell religiously, but I listen to Open Goal and, like say, Andy Halliday waxes lyrical about him. It always seems to have moments in the Celtic game where you stand up and go, this boy's actually got something.
Twice.
Aye. Hit the post and hit the bar. And the thing is, like you're saying, he maybe never done much more else, but he's a young lad. I mean, we'll probably argue the case with Anthony and Stephen. I argued the case on Friday. Engels has came under some criticism recently. Folk are then arguing, saying he's only 20-year-old, he's going to be inconsistent. So we can't sit and say Engels is inconsistent, but no say that Lennon Miller's can't be inconsistent when he's actually younger. And the thing is, with Engels as well, Engels has played at a higher level, so you could argue you would expect him to be less inconsistent when he's had around 50 games in the Bundesliga, but he's 20-year-old, he's going to be inconsistent. Much like Lennon Miller is 18-year-old, he's going to be inconsistent.
See, for that comment for Jamie Brown, I might be totally off the mark. Do you remember Celtic were monitoring?
Allen, wasn't it?
No. More recent, about 3 years ago, Connor Barron. I think we were looking at Connor Barron during COVID period. I remember talking to one of the managers in work who's an Aberdeen fan, and asking him about Connor Barron. It may have only been 2 years ago. Anyway, he said, Connor Barron's a good player. One for the future. We looked at him and we're like, no, we can do better. We do not need him. The Huns have taken him. He wasn't even a regular for Aberdeen. He's a regular for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, everybody can see right now he's not a great player. I agree that I would hate for Lennon Miller to go to Ibrox. But that's not the only reason. We could have bought Connor Barron not to go to Ibrox, but he's not good enough for us. I think Lennon Miller in the long term is good for us. That's the point I'm making right now. Maybe not right now, but the potential is clear to see. He's quite a physical player as well. He's not a wee guy, and for a midfielder, I think he could just be like the next Paul Lambert. He's got a lot of attacking tributes as well. But anyway, I don't want to go on too much about Lennon Miller. I've already done it enough. Anyway, so after that, the first goal for Celtic. So Valle receives a pass to Trusty, and he's kind of moving into that kind of Greg Taylor role, for left back, gravitating a wee bit more towards the centre. He takes it first time, he's getting head up, he's looking to see who's coming out for the box, and he passes to Luke McCowan. And Luke McCowan is in a really, really kind of interesting position where there's an attacker, a Motherwell attacker, running back to track the run on Luke McCowan. You've got a midfielder of Motherwell who sees the pass come in for Valle, and he is misjudging it. He ends up running out the way. And then you've got a defender, a centre-back of Motherwell, who sees the ball coming in, and he gambles towards Luke McCowan. And it's just a stramash of different runners of Motherwell totally misjudging the pass, and Luke McCowan picking up the pass in the pocket. A brilliant run. And that's the experience that he brings, because he's been playing in that position last season for Dundee. Picks up the pass. He's got the centre-back confronting him. He tries to play a pass. I don't think it was a nutmeg. I think he tries to play a pass. And ricochets back off, and then he picks it back up again. He takes a wee shimmy into the left, steady himself, looks up, and boom, left-footed drive right into the post. Aesthetically, a beautiful, beautiful goal. I thought it was fantastic. I think Luke McCowan is capable of that every day of the week. Brilliant goal. And I think it was about like 20th minute, roughly about 20-odd minutes, 25 minutes to settle the nerves. I thought that was a great goal. Frannie, what was your impressions of that goal, mate?
I think it's interesting what you said. It wasn't a very clever, whether that by being purpose or just chance. He was in a really clever position where Valle played a really good pass, and it had a sense of just being McCowan no moving, wiped it free. And like you say, I don't know if he's tried to play Kyle Gwynn or went for the 1-2. I think he's maybe looking at the kind of type of pass, he sort of just prodded it. I think he's trying to go for the 1-2 because he's obviously continued his run. But like you say, it kind of breaks off the Motherwell play, and he gets it back, and he just takes, I think it's just one touch, and then he just a nice controlled finish in the bottom corner. And it was one of the ones, as soon as he kind of got the ball back, he always felt like he was going to score, and it was a really, really goal. And like you say, he had the two chances for Lennon Miller, so it kind of just settled maybe any nerves that maybe the players would have started creeping at the players' game and stuff, because obviously, especially with it being not a makeshift midfield three, but I don't think it's a midfield three that have started a game together. So it's sometimes it's that all cliche games are won in the middle of the park. So the fact that McCowan got the scoring underway and kind of probably settled a lot of nerves, and it was a good goal. And I think what Luke McCowan's shown is, for £1 million, this looks like it could be a really, really good signing, because he's not had much game time. He's had to come for being the main guy at Dundee to a sense of a bit back player. Sounds a bit harsh in a bit back player, because he's also had plenty of minutes, but I don't think any time he's came on, he's really let us down. So I think he can be trusted. He showed that he can be trusted. And if there's any sort of, not to jump ahead, but if there's any any issue still with McGregor come Wednesday, I would probably play McCowan again on Wednesday and save your McGregors for Sunday.
Yeah, I think I've kind of nailed my colours to the mast in terms of McCowan. I did it on transfer deadline day whenever McCowan got announced, and I was celebrating. I think for pound value signing, I think he's very, very good. He's at the right age. He knows the league. He's getting really good, close technical control. And I think the next thing, I'm not a big fan of Scotland, but I think the next thing is like if he starts getting more game time for Scotland, put it this way, more game time for Celtic, then they might be pushing on the door for Scotland. But put it this way, if he signed for the Ibrox team, he'd be a regular for them every day of the week, and he would be a threat. If we were playing against him, he would be a threat.
Yes.
The fact that he's playing for Celtic and he's on the fringes, it's great in a way. It's great in a way that we've got that depth. We used to kind of lament the lack of quality in our bench with the likes of Turnbull, who was always inconsistent, who had that undoubted quality, but he never had that dig, that drive, that dynamism.
Yes.
McCowan's got that. McCowan's got that every fucking day of the week. He can go back, go forward. He's got great close touch control, and he plays with his head up, and he loves the club as well. If you talk about he gets it, that's the one phrase I hate in football. He gets it. He gets it.
I don't care. What is that?
Good player for us. I don't care. I don't care if you get it or not. If you're a good player for us, then more power to you. McCowan ticks all the boxes in my opinion. It's just that we signed him from Dundee for £1 million, and he's not fashionable.
It just shows you sometimes somebody that's a top player at a less fanciful club like Dundee, sometimes they can step up with. You put them in better players. Sometimes it just the obvious thing happens. They turn into a better player.
Exactly. I spoke about when I was trying to convince Little James from our podcast. We spoke about Paul Hartley, about Barry Robson, but that was a particularly trying year where we needed players like that to galvanise us. Arguably we don't, but I think we're blessed with a player of McCowan's ability and attitude.
He surprised me.
I don't want to say we're sleeping on it, because Brendan Rodgers is not a fool. If he's doing the work in the training pitch, and if he's head and shoulders above the likes of Hatate, who I think is maybe flattered to see this season. He's not maybe Hatate's been easy Ozzy, steady Eddie. He's not hit the heights of the Hatate that we know. But I think Brendan Rodgers is trying to kind of make him more play conservatively. But I think McCowan is. I would like to see how competitive he is in training and how good McCowan is against his peers in midfield. I would like to see that. But anyway, get back into the game. We've got a penalty claim. Maida against Stephen O'Donnell. Now, by the way, the pass that actually made that opportunity was from Alistair Johnson, who took up a position in the centre of midfield. And I've kind of failed to notice sometimes how effective AJ can be. Maybe if we go back to Postecoglou and the kind of the movements, the actions that he was encouraging, maybe it's been continued on. We see it for Greg Taylor, but Alistair Johnson was right in there. He moved into the centre of midfield where you would expect McCowan. But McCowan was on the right wing. Alistair Johnson was in there. He receives the ball. He threads a pass through. Brilliantly weighted. Maida's running through. Stephen O'Donnell is running through as well. Maida being the fastest man. He gets in front. Stephen O'Donnell is no longer goal side. He's behind them. He's got his right arm out. I think maybe shoulder movement. I don't know, chest. He bundles Maida over. Maida falls onto the ground, and as he's stretching out, the hand hits the ball, and the ball goes into the far right. Nobody knew in the ground what was going on. The referee didn't know what was going on. The referee was shaking himself. He's like, VAR, bail me out, please, because I don't know what to do. I don't know. Call a friend. VAR says, okay, so you can't give a goal because it hits off his hand. Fair enough. No qualms with that. But then, VAR doesn't bail him out any longer. That's all VAR tells him. How was that not a penalty? Because Maida was blatantly pushed over Maida, like, if you want to put it into character, is Maida a diver? No, I don't think he's a diver.
No.
I don't think he's smart enough to be a diver. He's far too honest to dive.
Yes.
Maida falls over. He is goal side. Stephen O'Donnell is the wrong way. Stephen O'Donnell's behind him. He bowls him over. I don't know how on earth. It cannot be anything other than a penalty kick. Sportscene were talking about it. I think you said it in the chat. Sportscene said, the pundit said,
it was unanimous.
It's got to be a penalty. The only person I heard who actually gave an argument was McFadden. And McFadden in the Sky Sports commentary said that Stephen O'Donnell is running in the one trajectory. Maida impedes that trajectory. Maida cuts in front of him. Maida's running for the ball. I don't care about that trajectory and that trajectory. Maida's running for the ball, and that's all it is. It doesn't ignore from the fact that O'Donnell bundles him over when Maida is in front of him. It's a penalty all day long. What's your thoughts?
It was a very strange moment, because I think, talking about Maida's honesty, I think as soon as the ball kind of goes in and folk kind of say, I think some players even know, were like, something's not right about this here. And initially, obviously, Maida turns round and it looks like he does a sort of a calm down. Whether that's me just reading too much in it and he's telling the players to calm down because he knows it's hot off his hand and go in, and get it. But then you obviously see him, then he's talking about a push and stuff. But the referee just doesn't seem to know what to give. I don't know if he's looking over at the linesman. They're getting nothing. And the Celtic players start celebrating.
Is that a red card?
It looks like... Oh, well, it should have been. Should have been, because it's a goal-scoring opportunity, innit? I mean, I'm with you, it's a penalty. And I understand McFadden's sort of argument with the sort of the way they're running or the direction they're running, but you could then argue that's good striker play for Maida, that he's getting in and putting his cell between the ball and the defender.
That's what you
do. Knowing the defender can't touch him, essentially. And it's what you do. And I think this is where it frustrates fans and probably frustrates players more, is referees that just don't seem to understand the game. Why does Maida need to go down there? Why does he need to go? He's through and goal. He'll beat Stephen O'Donnell every day of the week on pace. And he had in that moment. And there's not tons of contact. But if you're running at a bit of pace, the way like you say, I think there was an arm out towards Maida. I think their feet get a wee bit tangled. For me, O'Donnell's totally on the wrong side. Maida's done brilliant to get himself into that position. How that is not a penalty, I honestly don't know. Obviously, he can't give the goal. It's blatantly came off his hand and went in. But how they don't then say to the referee, I think you need to go over and look for a penalty. And if they give the penalty, they have to send them off. Why do they get set booked for deliberate handball? It's how it's not a penalty is beyond me. And it's right that we call out these decisions, Gab, on the back. Call them out when you get beat as well, but I think it's a bigger impact when you call them out on the back wins, because it's a bit of consistency that way. Yeah, it's not looking like sour grapes, if you like.
See, Willie Collum, is he doing like a weekly thing?
I don't know if it's weekly or monthly. And it's not every decision. I don't know if they just pick a few decisions, but there was one they done. I wish I could remember what the decision was, but it let you hear the audio for the VAR, wherever the VAR office is that they're doing, and it was horrendous. It might have been, and it was horrendous. The VAR, it just sounded like it didn't have a clue what they were talking about. It was terrible, and you're like, you've actually put that out on YouTube, mate. I appreciate you're trying to be transparent, but maybe pick a different one next time.
Penalty
all day long. How it's not a penalty, beyond me.
I totally agree. I think everybody is in. Was it Ross? Did Ross in the group chat that he didn't think there was enough content? I don't want to put words in the man's mouth. I think he was of the. I think he might have said there wasn't a lot of contact, but I think he was of the train of thought it was a penalty too. If that's the case, I apologise wholeheartedly, Ross. Sorry. Right, okay, moving on. Right, second goal of the game. Valle crosses for AJ, who makes a rare run into the box and he put his head where it could potentially hurt, and he scores a goal. So AJ was the captain for the starting of the game, and as you said, as I said, it was a brilliant run into the box. It was one of the ones where he could have, felt the force of the defender who was marshalling him, but it was like kind of like a midriff header, you know what I mean? He had to kind of duck a wee bit to make contact, and he puts it into the box. Keeper had no chance, and it was a great delivery for Valle. We were kind of like passing it around the box, where Motherwell were having to shift to left to right, to centre to left to right. Really aesthetically pleasing goal as well. We don't score many headers, and it's also quite pleasing to see Valle making further impact. But again, the goal itself, Johnson, I thought Johnson had a brilliant game. And whenever we talk about signings and characters, I think that we did our due diligence on AJ's character. I think he's been a fantastic signing. He's not the best full-back in the world, but he's pretty good for what we require. I think he's like normally a 7 out of 10 every single game, and he's picked up a couple of goals this season. And he said in his interview he's quite a vocal in the dressing room. And I always think Cam McGregor, Greg Taylor, maybe the goalkeeper. Who else is quite vocal? But I think AJ has got that kind of character as well. Maybe kind of like North American. He's quite, outspoken, quite extroverted. Yeah. I think he's just a really good fit for the Celtic team. But the goal itself, really beautiful. And again, let's not forget Valle for the assist.
No, Valle done really, like you say, it was kind of patient build up at right, sort of about 30 yards out. We did play a couple of passes to the edge of the box a couple of times, running off down Alistair Johnson's side. But just, I like the fact when you look at it now, we didn't just sort of aimlessly try and get the ball, and we did work it. And like you said, we were moving Motherwell about, and then obviously Valle picks it up and he obviously delivers a great cross, almost very similar to Greg Taylor and Adam Ida's goal last season. Very similar position, and it was a really a brave header and great run for Johnson to get into that position, just to give us another body, if you like, in there. And obviously, with being a defender, the Motherwell's probably not trained for that during the week, that who's going to be picking up runners here, maybe not expecting Johnson to make that run. So it was a clever goal, and it settled any nerves up for me that it was going to be a tricky game for the Ron Ingav. But I think he stepped up, had a tricky game against Falkirk, but we all kind of gave him a pass for that. And I think if Kudus showed us anything, it's not to write guys off straight away. So, I mean, I wrote Kuhn off, and by God, he's made me eat my works. Ate my words, sorry. So I'm willing to eat my words. I'm willing to give guys like your Vies and Trustees a bit more time to prove themselves before I think it was 2 games in. I think could have went far too thick as he wanted to go for me. Like, he was terrible there, but obviously we didn't know about the issues that he had before he came in and stuff.
Yeah. Well, to Paul, thank you very much, Paul. You're very kind. You're overly kind. I don't know about a great job, but we're doing hopefully a justifiable job. Frannie, I completely agree with you about Kuhn. Kuhn looked like an average player whenever he played his one half of the season for Celtic last year. And it's difficult not to make a judgment. How can you not make a judgment? You buy a player in January and he plays for, he's in and out of the team and he looks meh. That's exactly what it was, meh. How can you not make a judgment on him? Now, if in the summer he gets dental surgery and he's like, I'm Superman, like you can't legislate for that.
No.
If that happens, then brilliant, man. Brilliant, amazing. Good for us, good for you. But and that one half of a year for Celtic, he looked crap. And as football fans, you know, I don't think it's fickle to make a judgment on that. You're just judging it as you see it. You're like, this guy, unfortunately, I want him to do well, but he's not making an impact. You know, it's not like I told you so. Like, hedge your bets. But right now, he's doing brilliantly. He looks such a different player, and I never knew that getting a wisdom tooth taken out would make your life change so dramatically. If that was the case, I'd be like visiting the dentist every weekend, you know. But anyway, for the actual third goal, it was Kuhn who was jinking in and out, you know, making those kind of like fainting motions down the right wing, and he crosses low for Adam Ida. And I think that's one of Adam Ida's trademark goals, you know, like just a first-time finish, much as it is the same for Kyogo. And Adam Ida, he actually had like two centre-backs covering him, one close to him, and the other one trying to kind of ward off the ball. But the ball came in from Kuhn, and Adam Ida managed to beat the centre-back who was like kind of touched tight to him, and he finishes it in the near post. Keeper had no chance, and Adam Ida takes the plaudits. I kind of felt a wee bit bad for Kyogo. I thought Kyogo did try. He did try, you know, he was stretching the centre-backs. He didn't have much service. Kyogo did actually have one particular chance before he was taken off. He received the ball, he turned around, he shimmy past the player, and he hit a really, really good shot. But it forced a save for the keeper at the near post. It was a really, really good save. But that's how it is at Celtic. You know, you try the defence for an hour, you get taken off, and then we bring in like the big guns, and then the opposition are tired by that point, and then you get your goal, and the second striker takes the plaudits. Kyogo for me is always going to be the main man, definitely over Adam Ida. Yes. Adam Ida is definitely the second striker for me. He's I don't want to call him a flat jack bully, but he got his goal. That's the most important thing. I want his confidence to be up, because I thought at the start of the season it looked a wee bit kind of leggy, a wee bit lack of much sharpness anyway. But now we've got 3 goals up, and I guess the last kind of flashpoint of the game was the red card. I don't know if you saw it, but I think it was a guy called Gordon. He actually scythed down Adam Ida, and I think the referee, Dickinson, was that his name? He gave a yellow card. VAR brought him back. He looked at it, and he gave a red card. Kettlewell, the Motherwell manager, said it was, what was the phrase he used? It was,
harsh, I think. Was it harsh, he said?
It was something harsh. It was like, it was ruthlessly harsh, or blatantly harsh.
He was
just very, very fucking harsh. That's what he was saying. If you look at it, like, man, he went right for the ankle. Look, intentionally or not, I don't care. But he got Adam Ida perfectly on the ankle. It could have injured him. So 3-0 up, red card. It was a red card every day of the week. The comments of the manager sounded a little bit salty to me.
I know, totally. I think that's, to be fair, I think that's where VAR has worked, because when you see it in real time, I was okay with the yellow card without any replays. When you see it in real time, it does look a naughty challenge, but it doesn't look as bad as it was. And then you start seeing the replays, and you're like, "Whoa, that's a bad one." I just obviously hope Adam does not got any lasting sorts of injuries from it. I know Roger said it was a wee bit sore. I've not heard or seen anything to say otherwise that he's got to be out for a period of time or anything. But it was, to be fair, that VAR's got one wrong in the first half, but that's where VAR's done its job properly. But the referee, I think, has made a fair call at the time from his position and how the challenger initially looked. He's maybe even taken the conditions into consideration, because it was obviously it was raining pretty heavy, so it might have just put it down to a mistimed tackle, a late challenge. But then, like say, you see the replays, and it's a red card every day of the week. And Kettlewell, I'm similar to Ross, where he's a manager I like. I think he's done a great job at Motherwell, but his comments on the red card are terrible. Like, it's how you can. I don't think he's seen any replays of that.
He was off. Okay. Right. Okay. So that kind of wraps up the game. The actual stats-wise, I know that we don't spend too much. However, I'm going to do homage to McGinty, who likes his stats. Possession-wise, over the course of the 90, it was pretty overwhelming for Celtic. 78 possession to 22 for us. I don't know if that was maybe 76 possession for us, but overwhelmingly 76, 78 for us. Shots 21 to Motherwell's 9. Shots on target 10 to Motherwell's 2. And corners, which I wanted to talk to you about, 10 corners for Celtic, 3 corners for Motherwell. Now, when I watched the Celtic and Aberdeen game at Parkhead, I felt that every time Celtic got a corner, even more so in the 10 added minutes, I'm thinking, even when Scales and Trusty were going up, I'm like, we're going to do fuck all with this. We're going to do fuck all. I think that we are very, very ineffective with corners. I think at the Aberdeen game at that point, I think Engels was taken off. But even that game and the Motherwell game, 10 corners, I know that Scales has scored from the odd header. Like, he scored for Ireland, he scored for us this season. Do you want to talk about corners, or do you want to talk about set pieces in general? Or can I make some think about Ange? When Ange was saying in the media he doesn't practice set pieces. I know that Ange is long gone, but is there something to it? Not even about Ange, but just, is there a lack of culture about, like, if you study how many goals are scored from set pieces, are we missing the boat on this? Are we being too philosophical? Are we being too pure in our approach play?
I suppose you would maybe. Sorry, I suppose you would need to maybe. I mean, it would take a lot of work that I don't think any of us would be able to put in. But I suppose you would maybe need to look at football, or certainly maybe pick the top 5 leagues in Europe and maybe look at their teams and how many goals they score per corner, I feel like, then compare it to us and go, well, we're on par, we're there or thereabouts or whatever. But 10 corners on Sunday, we probably had similar, if not more, against Aberdeen. And we've not scored in out any of the 2 games. And the only one that really jumps out where directly we maybe scored was near the end where Trusty had pulled drew a good save for Mitov. It's a nice beer, mate. It's a nice beer.
But it's fucking gone up in price, man. This is far too expensive. Far too expensive.
It's nice, though. It's nice. But no, I do. I think Engels takes good corners, but I would like to think. I'd like to think we are practicing them in training. How much practice? I don't know how much emphasis put in it now. Simply just don't. I don't know. I mean, Arsenal seem to score, especially this season, score a lot for set places, well, corners anyway. So I think we probably aren't, certainly over the last 3-4 years anyway, we've not scored way enough from corners. You don't need to go back too far, even like your Neil Lennon eras and stuff. And Brendan Rodgers, to an extent, first time round, you were kind of confident when you had a corner that something might happen here. But I'm getting a wee bit more confidence through Engels because he does put in a lot of good crosses. We're just not really doing much with it. But I think we probably, without having all the sort of data in front of me, Gavin, when you look at the numbers and corners over 2 games, I think if it's a report card, it must do better.
Well, building on your comments and kind of touching on the comments here for Woodsy. So scoring for set pieces aren't quite as vital domestically for Celtic due to the outfield chances we make. I 100% agree with you.
Yes.
But see, from your experience, in the 80s, in the 90s, and maybe even in the noughties, if you think about our capabilities from a corner kick, just a simple corner kick, and how important that can be, potentially. Do you think that if you were to compare the 80s, the 90s, and the noughties for Celtic capabilities from a corner kick, how would you compare that to today? Do you think that we no longer value the danger of that? Do you think that we still value the danger of it, the scoring potential? Or do you think that we would rather just play it out and just work our way back to possession and try to pick somebody off from one side of the box or to the other side of the box?
I think we're maybe...
Do you think we're too
I don't know if we're maybe guilty... I don't know if we're maybe guilty of the way football's maybe changed, especially from the 80s and 90s and the noughties anyway. Obviously, it's a lot more stat-based now. It would even go back to, I'm not saying Zidane wouldn't make it, but you don't see many Zidanes in the world that are just pure raw talent. Everybody's, if you're athletic, you've pretty much a good chance of making it as a footballer these days. Aye, it was a lot of must do better.
I'm not saying turn into a Tony Pulis.
No, I think as well, Gavin, because obviously you've got all the statisticians and you've probably got folk looking at this in the sort of a background team, and they'll maybe look at the percentages of chances of scoring for a corner, and then which I think throughout the board for many a years will be pretty low, the chances of scoring. Martinelli's team did score a lot, but I even then I think percentage-wise was probably pretty low, or I say pretty low in the sense that I would say we were probably on average or above it under Martinelli. Would have been scoring what you would kind of expect if you looked throughout the board, all the other leagues in the European football. But I think now certainly you're maybe looking at it, and it's a low percentage of goals scored from corners, and maybe teams just look at that, Gavin, and didn't give it the attention it should, even though the number probably has always been pretty low, but they're maybe looking at going, well, we'll just focus elsewhere because we didn't the chances of scoring for there is pretty low, so what's the point in giving it? I don't know, but it's the only sort of logic or reason I can give to it, because as I say, I do think we should do better for corners. Especially when you get Europe, because you might not get as many chances as we make domestic. We won't get that many chances domestically in Europe as we do domestically. And set plays from a corner or a attacking set piece might be that one and only chance that we get. And I think you need to practice it, I feel like.
Right. I've got a number of questions for you before we wrap up tonight. And I'm conscious that normally on an hour, people on this podcast, they get a nosebleed after 1 hour. They're like, oh my God, 60 minutes. We need to stop. Okay. I do have a couple of questions. I have a couple of questions. It's quite relevant. Okay. So, Cameron Carter-Vickers came on in the game in the second half. Thank Christ for that. So, what happened, if you notice, was that Valle came off, the left back came off, Cameron Carter-Vickers came off. Immediately, I'm looking at that and thinking, well, in a Charlie Nicholas manner, I'm sitting here thinking, how are we going to reshuffle the pack? So it was Liam Scales, who has played left back in Ireland. He went to left back. Trusty went to left centre back. Cameron Carter-Vickers went to right centre back. You know, everybody's happy. However, with the news that I see you're trying to stifle a yawn here, we'll try to be quick.
That's fine.
It's okay, right? With the fact that Cameron Carter-Vickers is coming back into the team, you know, he's kind of getting back to fitness. It raises the question: who do you drop, Trusty or Scales? In my opinion, Scales has done nothing wrong. He's done nothing to deserve being dropped. Trusty, he's only played a handful of games. Scales won us the league. Amongst other people, he won us the league last season. There's no way that you drop Scales. I would be half tempted to go on a protest march if Scales got dropped. But I don't think that's going to happen. So we've got a conundrum. Does Trusty go back on the bench? What's your thoughts? What's the commenters' thoughts? And,
I can't remember if it was last Wednesday or the Wednesday before. I would, for me, it has to be Scales. I mean, I hosted, as I say, I can't remember if it was last Wednesday or the Wednesday before, and one of my questions was, is it finally time to admit that Liam Scales is actually a good defender?
Yeah.
In fact, it's been last week, I think it was after the Atlanta fixture. And for me, it has to be Liam Scales in there. He's, like you say, he's done nothing wrong. Yes, he tailed off to the end of last season, but in the main, the guy stood up and was counted for. There's a fair argument, I would say, for him being our best. Obviously, Carter Vickers has been injured, but there's a fair argument to say he's been our most trusted defender this season. So for me, it has to be Scales. I don't think Scales will get dropped, but then to sort of flip it and be devil's advocate, could you then argue that Trusty has been brought in by Brent? Obviously, Scales has not been brought in by Rodgers. Trusty's been brought in by Rodgers, been brought in for a decent fee in Celtic terms. I'll maybe ask you then, Gav, there you go. To be fair, don't disagree with it. I would have probably gave it to Carvajal Benny Jr. first, but you could argue a case for Roger. But I would ask you then, Gavin, could you, as I say, devil's advocate, because I agree with you, Scales should be in, but Trusty's Brendan Rodgers guy, if you like, he brought him in. If he was forced to put Scales in, and Scales, as we said countless times, stepped up to the plate. But if Brendan Rodgers wants to try and take Celtic to the next level, he knows he needs to be spending probably your 6, 7, 8, 9 million pound boys to try and push Celtic on a wee bit. Obviously, guys like Scales, as I say, guys like Scales and that will be able to step up. But if Brendan Rodgers wants to maybe keep spending that kind of money, does he need to then play Trusty and CCV just to prove that he can see a player and prove that level of player works? If you get what I'm trying to say, like, because he's his guy, he plays him instead of Scales, so he can continue to go into the market for your 6, 7, 8, 9 million pound players. Because I suppose for the optic side, it doesn't look good if you've spent 6 million and keep Scales in. You're going, well, you've spent 6 million on a guy, but the guy we got for nothing or a couple $100,000 is better. Because I agree, Scales should stay in. I agree. Just devil's advocate to ask you back the question.
No, it's a good question, Franco, and I think that you can't drop Scales for the integrity of the squad. If you want to send out a signal to any player in your roster that if you play well enough for me, then you will get that jersey.
Aye, good point.
What signal does that send to anybody, whether you're a Callum McGregor or a Palmer? Mm-hmm. You know, fashion doesn't matter. If you play well, if you're a good team player, if you win 2 Champions League man of the matches, you will fucking get in my team, and you will earn that jersey, and you will keep that jersey until you either get injured, suspended, or who knows?
Aye.
Unless you go right off for him, and Scales has not went right off for him. Scales is pardon the pun.
He's really good. I think
he's trusted. He's trusted.
I think he is maybe at his time to admit that he's actually a good defender.
I think what we need to admit is that Trusty is the new Lager Bielka Norovsky. No harm to him, not in terms of a letdown, but he is occupying the places that they were occupying.
Yeah, right.
But I think the focus is on off Scales. I think the focus is on Cam Carter Vickers. It's not because for him, it's because of injury. Cam Carter Vickers is now become inconsistent, which we never really kind of envisaged. Like a year ago, 2 years ago, Cam Carter Vickers is now very, very hot and cold in terms of injury. And maybe Trusty and Liam Scales will actually play much more games than what we think because of Cam Carter Vickers, which is, we don't want that. He's our rock. But the proof is in the pudding. He's played. Kim Carter-Vickers has played. I think I wrote it down. Kim Carter-Vickers has played. He's missed 7 matches this term. 7 matches this term, domestically. So I think we need to think about Scales and Trussy playing together. Unless Kim Carter-Vickers can show up.
That's an interesting question for a podcast as well, Gavin. But I'm not going to ask it tonight, but maybe addressing CCV.
Right. Okay. Moving on to the next thing. Spoke about a future Celtic captain. Spoke about the kind of Scottish trends and my kind of requirement to get Lennon Miller on board. I think it's very, very important, because what's the next succession plan? We spoke about that. And we spoke about, are we shite at set pieces? That's exactly what I wrote. Are we shite at set pieces? Did you notice the Rangers and St Mirren decisions? The Conor Barron red card, which was not a red card. Conor Barron had his foot right up at the ball player's face. He get away with it. I think he might get a yellow card, but I thought it was a red, and there was the other one where it could have been a penalty, and even if it wasn't a penalty, it should have been brought back for a foul.
Well, that's what they did. They brought it back for the foul.
Did they? Okay.
And I don't know if that was an easy, I don't know how the ruling works here, because obviously the referee's done the right thing with trying to play advantage. Then the boy falls in the box and he pulls it back. Surely you played advantage, you give that decision. I don't know. That's interesting, because I think a lot is would take KT back, and KT's probably got a worse injury. Well, has got a worse injury record than CCV in the last couple of seasons.
Aye. Season tickets at the hospital. And the other question I had was Aberdeen this season. Do you think it's a flash in the pan? Do you think it's like Hearts under George Burley? Do you think they'll kind of fizzle out the second, third?
I think they'll fizzle out. I still expect Rangers to finish second. I expect that. I think Wednesday night is massive for Aberdeen. To give them in, obviously, great credit to them coming to Parkhead for 2-0 down. They've got to take confidence for that. Getting a draw there. Rangers is a big test, because it's a game. I think the bookies have obviously still got Rangers favourites, but they're sitting 6 points clear of Rangers now, and it's a big moment for Aberdeen for their quest for. They'll obviously, some fans will maybe believe they're in a title race. I think the majority of them realise their battles for second place now, and what a chance they'll give themselves if they avoid defeat. But I think if they beat Rangers on Wednesday, go 9 points clear, what a confidence booster that will be for them to really stake a claim to try and take third. And for me, it's I don't see Aberdeen sustaining it. I think what will be interesting is when they do get their first defeat, how they react on the back of that. You sometimes see teams that go on big, long. I know it's certainly this season, it's only 8 or 9 games undefeated. But I think going into last season, they had a decent run. But when you tend to see when teams do eventually get that first loss, it drags on to 2-3 games. And if Aberdeen do something like that, I fully expect them to kind of fall down a wee bit. But obviously, I hope, I've seen things on Twitter where Aberdeen fans are saying they've seen Celtic fans saying they want Rangers to win on Wednesday. I don't know any Celtic fan that wants Rangers to win on Wednesday. I don't care if Aberdeen are 10 points clear of us. I would still have confidence that Celtic would claw back. I just want Rangers to get beat every day. And as Ross put it in the chat earlier, it's 1-1 for Celtic, because providing we beat Dundee, so say we beat Dundee on Wednesday, Aberdeen win. Brilliant. Aberdeen's still up with us, but it's put Rangers, we'll all laugh because Rangers have got beat again. If both of them draw, well, again, we're pulling away for both of them. And again, Rangers have dropped points. But if Rangers win, then we've pulled away for Aberdeen. That would be my worst result if Rangers win. I think I'm speak for 99% of Celtic fans. I think there will be some fans that want them to drop points, But I do hope Aberdeen go and win. However they do it, I just hope they go and win on Wednesday.
They're getting gallus. Aberdeen supporters are getting gallus.
Fair on them. Fair on, because I think
they will burst. Burst eventually. It's good watching the Huns and constant. I'm with Jamie Brown here.
I think it will burst, but I hope it continues a bit longer because I think it's great for the league. It's bringing a bit of interest.
Aberdeen getting gallus, like
They should be. I mean, they've got the exact same record as us domestically. They should be gallus. They should be up, and they've picked up good results. Like the Hearts game, I know the red card probably changed it for them, but that's games certainly last season Aberdeen probably didn't win. That's it. You didn't want Rangers winning testimonials. That's how you play Rangers in computer games. You didn't want them winning. It's just the way you're brought up. They'll be the same with us. But I think it's good for the league. Fair play to Aberdeen for doing what they're doing. And either fans should be gallus. I'm not going to sit and criticise a fan for, like you say, that what is it, 7 wins, 1 draw, they're joint top. I'm not going to sit and tell them not to enjoy it and milk it.
I know. I would never say to an Aberdeen fan, like, stay in your lane. Like, remember who you are. Like, they've not been where they are right now. And again, it's only 9 games played. You know, as a football fan, fucking enjoy it. Enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean,
enjoy.
I know it's a bit different when we're winning all the time, but folks say, like, sometimes the argument to Celtic fans, you don't get bored of winning. It's like, no, you should never get bored of winning.
No. If you listen to Joe Hart after he left Celtic, and he said that Celtic, yes, they win pretty much all the time. Is it boring? No. And he said, you want to watch how they celebrate victories. They celebrate it like it's no tomorrow. I think that's kind of like how we do. We're massive on celebrating things because we know what it's like. The vast majority of all Celtic fans know the 90s. We know that those dark days. And if you know those dark days, then you will always celebrate the victories today because...
Yes.
Predictably, if you're looking at the future, things look very, very rosy in the garden for us.
Yes, but you just don't know.
It does not take away from the fact that we know what it's like for like sour defeat and being marginalised, not even finishing second or third or fourth. You know, we know what that's like.
But
anyway, for this midweek game, we've got Dundee at home. Dundee are 8th in the table. They've played 9 games. They've won 2, drawn 3, lost 4. Goals 4, 14, goals against 16. So they've got a -2 goal tally. And then the last 5 games, Frannie, they've drawn, lost, and won. And of course, we took away the star man, their captain, Luke McCowan. It'll be even sadder if Luke McCowan's not actually starting for the game. I think it would serve us very, very well if he did start for the game. But in general, then as an opponent, midweek game, can't take every game for granted. It's not always going to be a 3 points. You need to earn the win. So, do you think it'll be a tough game? Do you think it'll be a high-scoring game? Do you think it'll be, I don't know. What's your thoughts? What's your expectations?
I know we shouldn't take every game lightly, but when I knew Dundee had a great start, and then you round off the last 5 games as well, Gavin. They're clearly not in a great run. So with the game being at Parkhead, midweek games sometimes can be a wee bit tricky, but Parkhead, I think what Sunday showed us, we didn't make wholesome changes. We made 4 changes. Obviously, one of them's Ida for Kyogo, which is a great change to make, whatever way that is about. Although I would always, similar to yourself, go Kyogo where possible. But in the middle of the park, you're bringing Bernardo and McCowan on. I would play pretty much the same team. I think it'll be a comfortable night. Hopefully we get off to a quick start. I mean, that's the obvious thing to say, but it'd be nice to be in a comfortable position at half time. And maybe early in the second half, if you're 2-3 up and cruising, start maybe ringing the changes then, keep the guys fresh for Sunday. But I certainly would start McCowan on Wednesday, but that's more to try and keep, obviously we don't know where McGregor is and his injury, Engels as well. I would give him another run out, but I probably wouldn't start him on Wednesday. I would keep him for Sunday in the cup Saturday, the cup semi-final. But I would hope to get off to a good start, get a good half-time lead in an ideal situation, and then maybe start looking towards Saturday's fixtures. We just maybe get a wee bit of rotation, rest some guys, give guys some minutes that you might swap the strikers, whatever one you start with Wednesday, swap them, because the likelihood is you'll need both come Saturday. And maybe your unfancied players, like Palmer, maybe give them a run out, because you just never know. You might need a guy like that come Saturday. But I just maybe mix it about with the sort. Try and keep guys fresh, while also maybe giving your Palmers, maybe your James Forrest a run out, your Anthony Ralston, that type of player that you just never know you might need come Saturday. But as I say, just ideally get good lead and look towards Saturday.
Indeed. So it's an interesting couple of weeks coming up for Celtic. We'll obviously get Dundee at home Wednesday, get Aberdeen Saturday, 5:30. Semi-final of the League Cup, 5:30 on Saturday. Following weekend we've got Kilmarnock away, and then midweek following that we've got Bruges at home. And then we've got Aberdeen the following weekend. So very, very important games. Obviously an eye in Europe, but League Cup as well. You don't want to give any room for the Huns.
No.
But Dundee, that's the focus. That's the instructions that Brendan Rodgers will be feeding to the players. One game at a time. But it looks like after the kind of blip with Dortmund and then coming back, struggling to win away from home and then back to Aberdeen, drawn. It looks like whisper it. It looks like we're back on track. Drawn away to Atlanta, a brilliant European result for us, and then a very, very confidence-building win away to Motherwell. So we'll give Dundee at home. Thank God for that. I don't know if it's on the telly. But I'll be going for it anyway. Looking forward to it. But Frannie, Francis, it's been a fantastic Monday night podcast with yourself. I've not had a Monday night for one. By the way, another player who was born on the same day as you, I don't think I said it, Dunga, who
take that. It was better. No, you never said Dunga, who wore that top. Captain.
He wore that top. Dunga, 1994 World Cup winning captain for Brazil. Dunga.
I'll take that than the last one you gave me, Gavin.
Oh, that was... Anyway.
You're stitching me up there, sir.
I just read it. I didn't make it up, Anyway, Frannie, it's been an absolute pleasure. By the way, can everybody wish Frannie a happy 40th when it comes? It's coming Thursday. Everybody wish Frannie a happy 40th. He's one of the best guys in the podcast. He's such a likeable guy who doesn't have disagreements with anybody. He's such a likeable guy on the podcast. So, Frannie, what are you doing? Are you doing anything on the day of your birthday? Have you already had your celebrations?
Working.
Oh.
That exciting. I'm going out on Saturday. Going out with some pals on Saturday and that. So we'll have a few drinks on Saturday. I was out for dinner with the family yesterday. I actually hijacked my dad's birthday. It was my dad's 75th yesterday, and I invited the family for dinner on his birthday. They celebrate my birthday.
Stealing the thunder, are we? Yes.
I mean, he was there, so it was not too bad. At least he was there. Cheers. So he was involved, but I hijacked my dad's 75th birthday yesterday.
Why not? I hope you had a good day as well. Frannie, it's been an absolute pleasure. And to the viewers, I hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a good Monday and look forward to Wednesday. I hope it all works out well for everybody, whether you're watching at home, whether you're at the game. I hope we get the 3 points. And I think a lot of people will be looking at the Rangers and the Aberdeen game. That will be interesting. So it's going to be an interesting Wednesday. But to everybody, have a good one, okay? We'll love yous and leave yous. Frannie, pleasure. Okay.
Superb,
okay. Exit.